Konnichiwa. Hello, everybody. Hello. How's everyone doing? 皆様ごきげんよう。元気でしょうか? Hope everyone had a lovely day today. Put up the live tweet. Alright, there we go. Exhausted from work, so now I'm just chilling. Oh, yes, relax now. You can relax. I'm doing okay. Compared to yesterday, work was very slow, which was very much appreciated. I got to relax on Final Fantasy 14. I lost my 50 for both Firefly and her weapon. Oh, I'm sorry. You got her eventually though, but yeah, I know that feeling. Similar, I've experienced that multiple times actually with certain characters like Furina, Shiori. I'll hide them. No, never mind. I'll keep saving. So I have a good amount that I could pull for a character, but I don't know the characters yet. And Ruanmei looks very pretty. I want her, but I don't know if she's any good. But I think I'll just wait for like a character that I really, really want. Hello, in and out, no problem. I was pretty distracted helping friends who are newer to Final Fantasy 14 clear some stuff like raids and dungeons and stuff, so I didn't have time to eat, so I'll be eating as we play. But we're back with Final Fantasy 14 on the brain. We're back at the Amnesia memories. But I wanted to say this might be the last stream. We're gonna do Ukyo's good end. I don't know how long it's gonna take, but that's why I say maybe, because I don't know how long it's gonna take. We'll see. But I'm very much looking forward to Ukyo getting his happy ending because he's been through so much. Yeah, it was definitely a roller coaster. My goodness. All right, let's see here. So, save 7. Let me make sure I'm looking at the right one. Okay, so we got the normal ending last time. Okay, these are all the bad endings. Okay. All right. Good ending. Yes. So, good ending. Okay, save file 7 is from the 25th. This actually might be super short. Stream might be short today. All right, we'll see. All right. Well, it's okay. We'll figure something else after that. But it's just from this day. Oh wow. Okay, so it doesn't differ that much from the normal ending. Well, hopefully there's more to it. So at this point, the fairy god, or the god spirit god asks us if we forgive him. For the normal ending, we said we can't forgive him because he's done too many terrible things. But this time, we say we forgive him.
そっか。君ならそう言うかと思ってたよ。
Orion is the one that asked us, actually.
お ほら、僕たち短いとはいえ結構親密な付き合いだし、君のことちゃんと分かってるんだ。だから君がそう答えても僕は驚かないよ。君は右京を許し、右京と共に帰還する。それでいいね。
Yes.
ダメだ。
右京、
俺は戻れない。
どうして？
俺は彼女を殺した。何度も何度も自分が救われるために彼女を殺したんだ。
It's okay, you went yourself.
その罪の記憶は一生消えない。俺はそんなものを背負って生きていくことはできない。
それはこの子が許しても？
そうだ。
それでいいの？
Are you sure?
どんな苦しい思いをしてもこの子を探し求めてきた君がここで諦めるの？
俺はさ、俺の主観だけど結構長く生きたんだ。そりゃひどい死に方ばかりしたし、生きて意識があることが本当に怖かった。辛かったよ。どこの世界に行っても君は俺を忘れてたしね。
I mean, that's not my fault. I mean, I was reborn, right? Or I was...
でも死ぬまでの短い間は彼女のことをずっと見てた。
Okay, he's not blaming me. I misunderstood. He's not blaming me, but like, he's adding to the fact, like, he's been living all these lives and then dying terribly. And to add to that fact, I didn't remember him.
笑う顔、楽しそうな声、落ち込んだ表情、それから誰かと幸せになる姿。
He's talking about... Oh my gosh. He's talking about all the other guys. The other timelines where I end up with the other ones. He's talking about them.
それは決して俺のものじゃなかったけど、それでも俺は嬉しかった。また君に会えて本当に嬉しかったんだ。だからもういいんだ。これ以上の望みはもうない。ここからもう一度生き直せば、きっと今度は今までよりも深く罪の意識に苦しむんだろう。すべてを忘れて元通りになんかなれない。俺は罪人だ。もう楽になりたいんだよ。
Oh, I mean, I understand that. No.
君。
I understand that, but no. I won't let you rest in peace. You have to continue to suffer. You must continue to regret killing me. And the amount of suffering you feel, you have to channel to make me happy. This whole time you were by my side, yet I didn't even realize it. I'm so sorry. And I'm so sorry for dying and leaving you behind. But from now on, I'll be right beside you. I'll protect you when you're suffering. I think if you and I are together, the person in pain and the person causing that pain, there will definitely be a lot of suffering. It won't be an easy life. We may not be able to overcome it, but I will never let you go. No matter what happens or what ends up happening, I promise to be by your side. So Ukyo, let's return together. Live on with me. It's okay, Ukyo. You're not alone. You have me.
ごめん。それからありがとう。
結論が出たね。右京、文句ある？あっても聞かないよ。君が悪いんだからさ。諦めてこれから一生彼女を守ってあげてよ。ね。さあ、僕の出番はここまで。僕とニール様も人間の世界に干渉しすぎた罰を受けなきゃ。でもその前に、
右京、君たちにはすまないことをしたね。人間がどんな存在か、何を望むか、それを知りたくて僕はこの世界で人の願いを叶え続けた。その結果が今だ。僕が願いを叶えることでたくさんの人を不幸にした。
ニール。
ごめん、右京。僕は結局誰も幸せにできなかった。
That's not true. I'm alive. And the reason I'm able to be with Ukyo is because of you, right? So that means you at least made 2 people happy. Thank you.
右京、これが君の愛した女の子か。
そうだよ、ニール。俺の最愛の恋人だ。
探し求めただけの意味はあったということだね。
Oh, it's Neil.
さあ、時間だ。僕は君たち2人の願いを叶えよう。右京の負った傷を癒し、運命を塗り替えてあげる。さあ、おかえり。君のいたあの世界へ。
今までごめんね。それからありがとう。いつかまたね。
Oh wow. Several days later. Ukyo's late. I wonder if he slept in again.
遅くないよ。ちゃんと時間通りに来てました。
I hope you've been sleeping in your bed. Huh? You're behind me? Why didn't you say something?
そこに立ってる君が絵になってたから写真撮ってた。
Again?
また写真家だしさ、俺。
That's more like a paparazzi picture.
ダメ。
I mean, what if I looked weird? I don't want that.
変な顔なんかしてないよ。っていうか、いい顔の時だけ撮るから安心して。ダメ。
Fine then. Maybe this time I can take a photo of you. It'll be with my camera phone.
ああ、携帯カメラはやめて。あれは邪道。デジカメならいいけどさ。
You're not that different. But alright, I'll carry one around then.
それで俺を撮るの？
Pictures of both of us. Let's take a lot and then turn them into an album, okay? And we can reflect later on how happy we are.
いいね。じゃあまずは。
お姉さん、ハンカチ落としたよ。
Huh? Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh, it's...
大切なものを今度は落とさないでね。はい。
行こ
うん、行こう。
う。お兄さん、お姉さん、またね。
I knew them, but I could be wrong.
そうか、それが君たちへの罰か。
Oh.
誰が与えた罰かは知らないけど、人を知りたいという彼の願いは叶ったんだな。
What are you talking about?
なんでもない。ああ、なんか。
Wait, so he remembers everything, but I forgot everything, or what's the matter?
いや、幸せだなって思ってさ。
Right. Me too.
行こうか。君の部屋に鏡を買わなきゃ。
Alright, because it broke. You don't have to worry about that.
約束したからね。いい天気だ。まるで今も夢の中にいるみたいだよ。
It's not a dream. It's real. See? My hands. They're warm, aren't they?
そうだね。この暖かさを見失わない限り、俺はちゃんと生きていける。愛してるよ。この世の終わりまで君だけを。
Oh, you guys can't see this, huh? It's just like a white screen. Oh, it's the credits now. And then it shows the ground with like white rose petals and like so. Oh, then it shows Ukyo. I'm like describing it. The credits are going up. It's showing the city. Oh gosh, it's unfortunate that it's not showing. If I knew that this is how short this was going to be, I would have just done it last time. But I had no idea. I'll just eat my food then. There might be something afterwards, though. Showing the cards again. Like I did for the other credits. But showing Ukyo this time. Showing that last shot with Neil and Orion, human versions of them. Memories of Ukyo has been unlocked. Reach the achievement. Oh! An achievement for getting all the good endings. Oh, mini games? Let's see, hold on. Let's look at the album. Oh, what am I missing? Oh, there might be. Oh, I see. Okay. So I mentioned this I've mentioned this before, but part of like the completion of these types of games is collecting all the images. But I have a feeling that this might be from the memories. But I won't do that on stream because they're I started Sheen's one time, but I felt it was a bit intimate. So I decided to do that off stream. Oh my gosh. Oh. Wait. I can play these games? Okay, wait. Hit and guard, rock, paper, scissors? Oh wait, go back. No, I need the rules. The winner of rock, paper, scissors bonks the loser on the head with a hammer, and the loser guards his or her head with a helmet. The winner will receive a point if the loser is hit before he or she can defend. Oh, this okay. So I gotta okay, I think I get it.
お前相手でも容赦しないけど。
That's fine.
いいのか。
Mm-hmm.
手加減しないから。そのつもりで来いよ。
He's like, I'm not gonna
行くぞ。
hold back.
せーの、じゃんけんぽん。あいこでしょ。あいこでしょ。あいこでしょ。
No!
負ける気がしない。
No!
せーの、じゃんけんぽん。マジかよ。
I did it!
せーの、じゃんけんぽん。
I win! えいちゃ
マジかよ。せーの、じゃんけんぽん。
No!
負ける気がしない。
No!
せーの、じゃんけんぽん。
よいしょ。
せーの、じゃんけんぽん。あいこでしょ。
よいしょ。
やばいな。せーの、じゃんけんぽん。あいこでしょ。
はいしょ。
マジかよ。せーの、じゃんけんぽん。せーの、じゃんけんぽん。
はいしょ。
せーの、じゃんけんぽん。マジかよ。
Oh, I got it.
せーの、じゃんけんぽん。
はいや。
くそ。せーの、じゃんけんぽん。あいこでしょ。マジかよ。せーの、じゃんけんぽん。あいこでしょ。あいこでしょ。
はいしょ。
マジかよ。せーの、じゃんけんぽん。やばいな。せーの、じゃんけんぽん。マジかよ。終わりみたいだな。
I won.
つか、お前マジで強すぎ。
Sorry, Sheen. Oh, I can beat all of them? Nah, I think I'm okay. Air hockey, though. Be the first to receive 7 points. Use the striker to hit the puck and gain 1 point if it enters the opponent's goal. The opponent will gain a point if it enters the goal on your side. Striker. Click to grab the striker. Puck. Hit while holding the striker. What? Okay, I understand how air hockey works. Let's play with,
俺を選ぶなんて、本当お前は物好きだな。じゃあ始めるぞ。
Which one am I? Oh. Oh. Yay! I'm actually really bad at it in real life. I think it's because I have short arms. I blame my short arms for being bad at it in real life. No! Hahaha. Oh! Hey.
しまった。
How many points do I have? 5. Is it to 7 or 10? I don't remember. No! I also sabotage myself sometimes. No. ha ha. Okay, it was to 7.
おめでとう。
Thanks.
素直に負けを認めるよ。
I see. Okay, that's kind of fun. And then extras. Short story. When the doorbell rang, it was 30 minutes past 10. No normal person would stop by so late, so it was obvious who it was. Without using the intercom or even looking through the peephole, I turned the lock to open the door and invite her in. The sight of her there came as no surprise. Sheen! The familiar face from my childhood looked up at me and beamed. Wanna go see a movie? It was the Spanish Inquisition? Without so much as a hello or an excuse me, she barged her way into my house. She lived nearby and was a year older than me. Nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition. The Myoka University blazer she wore meant she was on her way home from school, and the guitar case slung across her back answered any questions as to why she would still be out this late in her uniform. After practicing with her bandmates, she probably met up with them somewhere. The look on her face showed how much fun she had, and my heart twinged a little. Why all of a sudden? Even though I sounded irritated, she was completely unfazed. Someone gave me a ticket, but only one. I'd feel lonely by myself, so I wanted to know if you'd come with me. I'll pay for half, okay? I'm sure you'll like it. The movie title and the ticket was of the season's #1 blockbuster, an epic space fantasy movie. It was actually heavily marketed on its flashy SFX and action, so I knew it wasn't something I'd hate. But I pushed the ticket back with a sigh. Isn't there anyone else besides me? Why don't you go with one of those girls? The reason I refused was because I didn't want other people to look at us and think that we were a couple. To still be hanging out with a childhood friend at this age was embarrassing, and I was still immature enough to be nervous at the thought of seeing a movie with a girl. And because I knew it was inconsequential to her, I was even more resistant to it. It seemed to hold no other meaning to her as she told me, "All my other friends have Christmas Eve plans with their boyfriends on the 24th, so there's no one else to go with." I wanted to ask her, "Don't you see that what that implies, going to see a movie with a guy on Christmas Eve?" But of course, she wouldn't have thought that. I probably wouldn't have either if this were a couple of months ago. Why would you accept a ticket for a movie on such an awkward day, and just the one? Was it a guy who gave you that, or a girl? A guy. Don't you think he has a ticket for the seat next to you? Did he ask you to go with him? She looked uncomfortable for a moment. He didn't say anything like that to me. Well, I guess maybe I thought he might have meant it in that way, but... When he gave him the ticket, I said, "Oh, this looks like a movie she would like," and just left it at that. Why? Well, isn't that date a little suspicious? It was very suspicious. The guy definitely had his intentions. If he meant it that way, if he meant it the way it sounded, it would have been awkward. So I just blurted out your name. Sorry. You shouldn't avoid the issue like that. Isn't it better to turn him down properly? I couldn't help but feel sympathy for the man who worked up the courage to ask her out. She scrunched her shoulders uneasily. Turn him down? I couldn't do that. I want to believe he didn't mean it that way. Oh, sorry, that was not... Oh wait, they messed up there. That's a typo. I want to believe he didn't mean it that way. He's part of the band after all. I get it now, I thought to myself. My stomach dropped a bit. The image of her standing and singing in front of the band was so explosively powerful that it consumed my mind, even knowing all of her flaws from childhood. If it was like that for me, then it's not surprising that a guy who saw her singing every day would have those kinds of feelings for her. But she simply wasn't prepared to accept those feelings. And to protect his feelings and their friendship, she pretended as if his invitation wasn't real and asked me instead. I got it. I'll go. I took the ticket from her and checked the time and seat number. I called the theater to see if the seat next to you is open. Let me borrow this for a sec.
Yes, thank you.
I felt a pang in my heart when I saw her smile in relief and buried it deep down, turning my eyes away from her. The fact that I was now starting to be aware of her as a woman was something even I was conscious of. I was even aware of my jealousy towards the person who bought the ticket. He was on his way to heartbreak, but even so, he was cherished enough to not want to be lost as a friend. He spent so much more time next to her than I have. The bigger difference was that he was thought of more as a man, where being with him on Christmas Eve was wrong. Yes, that seat is fine. Thank you. Days later, that seat suddenly became open again, and I was able to reserve it for myself. A part of me felt sorry for him, but another part of me thought of him as a rival. I checked the time around 6 p.m. Although she was probably in the middle of practice, I gave her a call.
I can't come to the phone right now, but...
I let out a sigh as the message played, then told her that I got the ticket. After I hung up, I wondered whether its original owner was right next to her now, listening to her sing. He might be looking at her with mixed feelings, checking himself with a stiff smile. I could never take his position. I pulled the strap of the bass guitar against the wall and plucked at the strings, turning my ear toward each deep pitch, but the sound that my untrained fingers spun out seemed hopelessly cloudy to me. The city was soaked in lights and the distant sound of choirs. In the alley, at the back door of the cafe where she worked, she stood, waiting for me. She wore a deep red dress the color of wine, and I wondered if it was a conscious decision based on the day. The bag on her arm, decorated with white roses, shone in the dim alley light. Above her chest sat a rose-shaped pendant, presumably matched to her bag. My already embarrassed tread slowed to half, and I looked over her clothes from top to bottom. What's with the outfit?
Oh, is it weird?
It wasn't weird. It was the perfect outfit for meeting a guy on Christmas Eve. Almost too perfect. It was unbearably cute.
When I told my friends that I was going to see a movie with you, they all told me to wear this and that, wear this and that.
Most likely, her friends were counting on a story of love blossoming between longtime childhood friends. They probably thought it amusing that a relationship could change dramatically as a result of this date.
I told them it was weird for me to dress up like this when it was just you, but...
I wanted to ask what was so weird about it. That was Christmas Eve, so dressing up wasn't something out of the ordinary. But I couldn't tell whether I wanted to say it because of feelings of love, or because seeing an old friend like this was a surprise. My feelings were uncertain, even to me.
Do I look kind of strange?
No, you're fine. I hid my true feelings behind a short reply. My attitude toward her couldn't change now. Forget about that. Let's go to the theater.
Right.
I left the alleyway, and she obediently followed. As we entered the main street, the once distant clamor was now spread before us. It was impossible to not feel annoyed at the bustle of the holiday. What annoyed me more was the sight of a man waiting for us in front of the theater. Guitar case slung over his shoulder, leaning against the theater wall, he spotted us and stood up straight as if startled. I didn't have to ask who it was. I knew. It was the guy who originally asked you out for tonight. Sorry, I just need to come here. I was sorry too. She stood motionless next to me. Is that kid your childhood friend, Sheen? It ticked me off slightly to be called that kid, but it wasn't a lie that I was younger. It's nice to meet you, I said. I've seen you on stage before. Oh, you came to see the concert? Thanks. I didn't come to see her concert. I came for my friend. I looked at him silently with contempt. But as I watched him, he appeared to me more dense than I first considered him, and showed no signs of noticing. Close childhood friends. It's kinda nice. Yeah. But a movie on Christmas Eve? If anyone else saw you, they'd think you were dating. It was she who voiced her dissent. But we're not. Hearing her deny it so matter-of-factly was a sudden blow to my heart. If that's the case, then does that mean that I can still hope? Of course you can, I thought. Oh, well... You kind of avoided it before, but I do want to say something to you. The truth is, I want to... Sheen, we better go or we'll be late. Hey, a bit... Oh, sorry, that's the wrong person. Hey, a bit obvious, don't you think? I muttered as we turned, but I don't think anyone heard me. Pulling my arm along with hers, she took off the man running after her and headed towards the theater entrance. Wait, I'm not finished yet. Sorry, I'll see you at band practice. If you won't stop and listen, I'll just say it. I'm sorry, we're going to be late. The thing is, I really like... I was the one who stopped in my tracks now. She was walking at a hurried pace and stumbled from being pulled back so suddenly. Sheen! I pretended I couldn't hear the reproach in her voice. She doesn't want to hear it, all right? The man trailing after us also stopped moving at my cold words. All she'll do is turn you down, so stop pushing it when you know it'll only upset her. It's disgraceful. Why, you... Also, she's mine. Figured that much out. This time, he was silent. I was lying, of course, but it was the most effective way of dispensing of him here. See you. I took her hand from my arm and held on to it. Though it was sudden, she didn't complain or show any surprise. The man that had stopped following us was probably what she was most happy about. The man had stopped following us was probably what she was happiest about. She looked up at me with an expression on her face that said, "Thank you." Damn it, I spat inwardly. This can't be. The man who had been turned down so unceremoniously was actually ahead of me in her eyes. He was considered a man. If he were the one with his tight grip on hers, she probably wouldn't be smiling at him like this. Even though I had lied to him out of possessiveness, from the look of gratitude on her face, I saw no trace of doubt. In her eyes, I saw only trust. And I knew she didn't regard me as a man. Thank you so much, Sheen. To think, though, us being a couple. My irritation grew at the way she said it, so carefree. No matter how close we were, no matter that we were on a date on Christmas Eve, she felt safe because she thought I was safe. I was like family. If we were family, it would mean that as the years passed, we would grow distant. I wondered how long she was planning to keep things this way. Even if this guy wasn't her type, if someone who were to show up, would she be happier with him? It was natural for us to always be together now, but one day we would go our separate ways. If this distance didn't change, nothing would. If I asked you seriously to go out with me, what would you do? Hearing this, she looked genuinely puzzled. Do you really want a girlfriend that badly, That badly? I'm sure you'll find a really nice girl, Sheen. It was the worst possible answer. She didn't even think of us in that way in the slightest. I'm being supported in dating another girl. Forget it. Let's just go see the movie. Huh? I tightened my grip on her hand. Trying to change the relationship we've built was probably not a good idea. If I tried to bridge the gap between us, it could potentially ruin everything. No matter how painful that might be, I will not let go of this hand. The day when I would no longer be able to suppress these growing feelings inside of me didn't feel so far away. Oh. So that was before they got together. Or we got together, rather. Interesting. I like when these types of games add these like stories like this. Okay, let's do it. Let's keep reading. Next is Iki. So this is from Iki's point of view. To others and myself, it was a scene reminiscent of a romantic film. Faded in color, the afternoon felt nostalgically sentimental. In the seat across from me, a girl with long hair tied up in complicated knots was sipping coffee through a straw. I was accustomed to parting with girls at this point, and this situation was no different. The coffee here is delicious, isn't it? Casually prompting her to drink, I looked softly at her face. You're welcome here anytime. Yes. She gave me a watery smile and looked down at her coffee, giving it all of her attention as if to hold back tears. As she sipped, the nearly empty glass made a clinking noise from the settling ice. Embarrassed by the sound, her cheeks turned red, and I truly found it adorable. Despite that, there was no question in my mind that we would part. I did not have romantic feelings for her, though there was no question of her infatuation with me. Until today, we had experienced no problems in our relationship. From a bystander's view, it was surely a strange story. Furthermore, there are many others who wish to have a relationship with me, so to be bound to one person would be unfair. That was the reason I gave her. Even I think it's a selfish idea. But there has never been a girl who has objected to my selfish reasoning. And so the cycle has continued, starting again every 3 months. The confession, the companionship, and the breakup. There was no room for any change of feelings on my part. There were times when they would leave with a smile, and times when they would cry. However, everything on my end was exactly the same each time. I spoke to her sympathetically. I suppose we should leave soon. Gently, I pulled the reluctant girl up to her onto her feet. I'll wait for you. She pulled out her purse, but I refused. Moments later, we stepped outside onto the busy street. Amidst the sound of vehicles passing by outside the cafe, I smiled at her. I'll see you again. Take care. I was kind but definitive in saying those words, meaning we would no longer be in a special relationship the next time we met. She managed to force her trembling lips into a semblance of a smile. Yes. Goodbye. Take care. I pushed back the dull pain I felt in my heart into the depths of my stomach. I couldn't say that I was lonely. It wasn't a word I was allowed. I was the one ending the relationship for my own convenience. A thought in my head resonated faintly, that I wasn't doing this because I wanted to. What an excuse. No matter my circumstances, I was the one who decided to take this path, and I was the one hurting her now, so the details of my circumstances were nothing but excuses. What's more, somewhere within my true feelings, I was even blaming her. You say that you like me, but you have nothing to say about us separating? You have no objections at all? I admonished her with unreasonable criticism in my mind, even though I was the one breaking up with her for my own benefit. It was impossible for me to utter such things.
Thank you very much. It was fun.
Going out with the girl was, for the most part, genuinely fun. It became my preferred pastime to flirt, and I found all the sweet girls I could ensnare to be perfectly lovable. With as many variations of girls that existed in the world, I was fortunate to be able to try them all. However, for one moment every 3 months, everything had to become difficult. I had fun as well. Goodbye. Having delivered the words by force of habit, I left the scene without another glance at her teary, crumbling expression.
Hello.
I gave her even less sympathy than I should have. I had done more than necessary during our time together to make sure I left no regrets. As it ended, I let her go as swiftly and as calmly as possible. And thus, it was over. After this end, another beginning would come. It seemed that one day of this, out of a happy 3 months, was unavoidable. Moreover, the recurring situation I found myself in was common knowledge now. There was always another girl who came to confess to me a day or two after a breakup. It wasn't as if I didn't care who approached me, but I am able to find most girls cute in their own way. To be honest, I consider it one of my greater strengths.
Did you miss everything? You missed the good ending for Ukyo.
It turned out that we made most of the progress already. So we only the last part of it was there was only a little bit left. So now I'm just exploring the other parts the other features in the game. So there are memories, which are like short story. Well, this is short. We're reading short stories right now, but there are memories, which are like short episodes. I won't be doing those on stream because I feel like they're pretty intimate. Not physically intimate, but like pretty like romantically intimate. So I won't be. I'll do that off stream on my own. There were a couple of mini games that we played. Those are fun. And now we're reading short stories, which are from the points of view of the characters, the guy characters. And not long ago we just finished reading Shin's short story. It was the story of it was from Shin's point of view, where he starts to really realize that he has feelings for us, and the short story was of a time when we asked Sheen to go to the movies together, but it was our way of kind of weaseling our way out of going on a date. So we're in that timeline with Sheen. We're in a band with other people from our school, and one of the guys in the band asked us to go to a movie. Well, he didn't explicitly ask to go together. He was like, "Hey, check out this movie," and then gave me a ticket. Hello, and then gave me a ticket, and I was like, "Oh wow, this sounds like something Sheen would like. I'm gonna go ask him," without letting the guy ask the question of, "Hey, do you want to go see it together?" kind of thing. And then Sheen's not thrilled about being asked to go to the movies, going to see that movie together, only because it's kind of like, only because we don't, at that point, we don't see Sheen as like, something more than a friend. And so he's pretty bummed about that. So yeah, it was just him. It was just us seeing what he was thinking at that time. But despite not being like seen as a potential, boyfriend, he didn't want to give up. He didn't want to let go of us. So yeah, that was interesting. And right now we're reading Iki's story, and we're getting a little bit more insight into how he would date girls for 3 months and then break up with them. The story starts with him with a girl on their last date, and they just parted, and we're just like getting like, we're seeing more of how he thought about it, and how he's lonely and he doesn't actually enjoy doing it and such. Yeah, Sheen doesn't want. Yeah, Sheen never intended to let us go. So yeah, so I'll start from the beginning of this part. This is right now. This is Iki's story. There was always another girl who came to confess to me a day or two after our breakup. It wasn't as if I didn't care who approached me, but I am able to find most girls cute in their own way. To be honest, I consider it one of my greater strengths. I really like you, Iki. The girl in front of me looked up with a face full of nervousness. As expected, I found her terribly charming. Her face was as normal as any young lady's, but it was the way she gripped her skirt that I loved. Her name was Taiko, if I recalled correctly. I saw no problem in dating her. I could have a lot of fun teasing her, flirting with her, and so much more, just like with so many other girls. Until the last day of those 3 months. I heard a voice from somewhere else, just as I was about to reply. Taiko turned to look, startled. The girl who stood at the other end of that gaze was a junior of mine from the place where I worked part-time. I'll never understand why people put a negative on a positive description. Terribly charming. Terrible isn't always negative. It's one of those weird words. It's like, what's a word that has a similar, like, kind of meaning? Like, terrible doesn't necessarily mean something bad. Like, it's just something so, like, on something on a large scale. But it's often used in a negative way. It's true. Oh yeah, okay, so the person who stood at the other end of that gaze was a junior of mine from the place where I worked part-time. I'm sorry. Edging backward, she looked distressed as she tried to leave the scene. I'm interrupting something, aren't I? I'll leave. I remembered vaguely that this was the path that she used to walk back home after work. She was a rare girl, one on whom my eyes had no effect. I found it refreshing and interesting to talk with her. If she had asked me on a date, I would have kicked all others to the curb just to comply. That was how fond I was of her. But far from confessing any feelings, I was clearly aware she didn't like me, a fact which I found ironic. I was sure after witnessing such a scene, her impression of me being a playboy had grown even stronger. When I thought of this, suddenly everything else became so bothersome. I'm glad you find it relaxing. We were in the middle of something, but don't you worry, you needn't mind us. We'll be finished soon. Thinking I might be rejecting her, Taiko's shoulders started to tremble. Extremely distressing seriousness, says Google. Right. Let's see. Taiko, was it? If I may be frank, you mean that you would like to date me, right? Taiko hurriedly nodded. Yes. When I date someone, I try to go as far as I possibly can with that girl. That is what I will think of our relationship. Knowing this, is it still alright with you? I always make it clear from the start. There is no possibility that I could develop stronger feelings for you. I will not even put it in the slightest effort to try. Even then, I ask, will you be fine with this? I'm currently single, so if you can truly accept these conditions, I wouldn't mind dating you at all. It was only for a brief moment that Taiko showed any hesitation. Of course it's alright. That's more than enough. It'll be like a dream. Is that so? This is usually how the conversation went. Afterwards, I would discuss with her the specifics in detail. We would exchange contact information, and it would be decided. A new 3 months would begin. It was a beginning with a predetermined end. Even though I knew I was beyond feeling any misery at this point, I couldn't help but wonder if the reason I felt so wistful was because Taiko was a bit my type. I did rather like the girl I just parted with, though. Perhaps they both were. After I settled the routine details with Taiko, with a clouded mind, I bid her farewell. My junior, who had been quietly observing the conversation, finally spoke to me in a trembling voice. You're the worst. I blinked, somewhat caught off guard. I think that's the first time someone has said that to me. No one's ever said it to you? She glared at me, her previously dazed expression suddenly turning into one full of anger. If no one's ever told you, then I will. What you're doing is simply awful. You should be more aware of other people's feelings. Maybe you've never actually fallen in love with someone, but can't you imagine for a second what that's like? If you fell in love with someone and gathered enough courage to confess, and you were then given the response that you just gave now, can't you see? Can't you tell how horrible that is? Her voice disappeared into the air. If I fell in love with someone, if I was given the response I gave a moment ago, I had never given thought of such an idea. Having been confronted so suddenly, I allowed myself to imagine it. To imagine myself falling in love with someone was quite difficult, so instead I thought of it from the outside, observing my furious junior. The vision of her loving someone, gripping the fabric of her skirt, confessing, "I love you." Then the vision of her being responded to with, "I will go as far as I can with you." How would she react? Would she love that man enough to think that was all right? Would that man really take advantage of her innocence? Of her pure feelings? God, I wanted to punch that man. As the thought faded from my mind, I exhaled. You're right. That really is the worst. Right? It's so terrible, I wonder why no one said this to me before. There really is no excuse. Right? The reason no one had said this to me before, I knew fully well. It was because anyone who looked into my eyes lost all motivation to condemn me. This was the world that I lived in. A world where everyone supported me. A world where, even when I've done nothing, I'm praised. I'm given respect, and I don't receive the reproach and discussion that should be owed me. A world where the only one who could control me was myself. No matter how hard I worked, I went unacknowledged. Because the floor of adoration was constant, there was no way of knowing whether a person truly recognized me. There was no opportunity for anyone to reproach me for a lack of effort. Those who did hate me and kept their distance would not go out of their way to denounce me. There were only a handful of people who would point out my flaws. She was one of those people. I really am the worst. You're right. It's exactly as you say. After laughing it off and readjusting the view of my own actions, I felt more and more deplorable. Even then, I thought, I had been trying to show that I cared about my partners through my actions. But such an excuse was weak when, on the heels of the abuse I had directed at Taiko in my frustration. I hope you understand now. Why wasn't it that she confessed to me? It was a foolish thought to have after having just accepted another girl's confession. If this girl were to confess to me, I would treasure her with all I had. I would fix all the flaws she brought up to me. I would die rather than do something she didn't like. I would probably become the ideal partner. But such a thing was impossible. She would never fall in love with a man who would handle a girl's heart in such a harsh manner. I'm sorry for being so rude just now. Not at all. I was truly the one at fault. I apologize for this unpleasant experience. It's okay. Well, I'll be leaving. Of course. Goodbye. As I bid her farewell, I felt the same painful reluctance that I usually felt when breaking up with a girlfriend after 3 months. I pushed down the urge to run after her and ask if she would be my girlfriend. The urge only subsided after I could no longer see her retreating figure. Ah, that's right. I'm Taiko's boyfriend now. Remembering the person that I had just now become my girlfriend, I took my cell phone out of my pocket. Once I learned that I was in the wrong, all I could do was appreciate what I had at that moment. To ignore the confession I had just accepted and pine after another girl would make it difficult for her to ever like me. After 3 rings, I heard Taiko's voice, which already sounded nostalgic to me. I want to apologize about just now. You see, I want to take back that response I just gave.
Why? Did I do something wrong?
At Taiko's panicked words, I couldn't help but smile. It's all right. I find her cute. I can care for her. No, that's not what I meant. I don't want to take back the idea of us dating. I want to take back what I said about trying to go as far as I can with you. I won't let myself think it that way anymore. I'm not sure how much I can do exactly, but from this point forward, I do want to treat you properly.
What?
Taiko fell silent from the other end of the phone. Was it my imagination that she was even more surprised now than when I said such selfish things to her earlier? Well, for reasons of my own, I cannot take back the 3-month limit. The reason? Right, I should explain that as well. When are you free? Let's have a long talk. I want to learn more about you, too. This was the beginning. I don't know where the road will lead from here. My heart might wear down from the 3-month cycle, and I may have become too familiar with selfish relationships to the point that perhaps I wouldn't be able to care for her properly. Yet, I wanted to become someone whom that girl would not despise. I would begin here first. I ended the call and returned my cell phone to my pocket, gazing regretfully in the direction she had left, and looked up at the sky. The spring sky was tinged with a sweet violet blue, a sky I had seen time and time again, yet today I cherished it. I felt that this faded world was suddenly becoming more colorful. That was Iki's story. That was Iki's short story. So it sounds like these short stories are when they essentially fall in love with us or realize they have feelings for us. I'm guessing. That's what the trend is so far. That's what happened with Sheen. That's what happened with Iki just now. Okay. Let me get a sip of my drink here. Jude was deep? Yeah. Iki is much deeper than he seems. At least he had understood himself quite a bit. Alright, next is Kent. Whether I should go to return this umbrella today or not. That was the question at hand. The sky was visible from the laboratory windows and was spotted with clouds. Rain from this morning had ceased, come early afternoon, and it was bright outside despite it being the middle of the rainy season. She would probably not need this umbrella. Even so, should I return it to her? For a question that was not worth pondering, I had for some reason been contemplating it for quite some time. The first problem of the day was whether I should take a walk despite the rain. The me of last year would have not. The reason for my daily strolls was only for maintaining good health, and if not for training, it was certainly not a job. There was no overwhelming reason in favor of walking out in the rain. My reason for hesitating was due to the image of the girl I would meet in the morning suddenly coming to mind. She would most likely come. Her walk in the mornings was for her dog. It was almost an obligation. Oh, speaking of dog, Doggo wants to come in. One moment, be right back. I'm back. Sorry about that. Where were we? Her walks in the morning was for her dog. It was almost an obligation. There was a high probability she would go, even in the rain. I had seen confirmation of that in similar situations before. Using this as a basis, I considered whether I should go. In other words, did I want to meet her or not? I deliberated for some time, then tired of contemplating the issue and simply then grew tired of contemplating the issue and simply decided to leave. I put the question of whether I wanted to meet her or not on hold. That was this morning. Walking even in this rain? Good for you. Sure enough, she was there, and she spoke to me in a somewhat sarcastic tone. Managing to keep pace next to her, without thinking, I returned her sarcasm. You're also determined enough to walk your dog that you'd put it in a raincoat. How very diligent of you. The dog, wrapped up in a yellow raincoat, looked up at me with round eyes. I wondered if it was conscious of being spoken about. I've thought this for a while, but the recent trend of treating dogs like humans is absurd. Is a raincoat necessary for a dog? It is a species that was originally born to live with fur. There is no reason to dress dogs the same way as humans, who have evolved with the need for clothes. People say dogs are their family, but is including them simply a means to ease the loneliness of lacking a nuclear family in the modern world? To me, it is simply a sham. Thank you for your very important opinion. After once again responding with sarcasm, she gave a strained smile. As you said, my dog probably doesn't need a raincoat, but it's convenient to put him in it. It's easier to wash him afterwards this way. Oh, I see. It's a question of convenience. I can agree with that. I truly was agreeing with her logic, but she seemed to take this as yet another attempt at mockery. She fell silent, puffing her cheeks out. I fell silent as well at her childish expression. Why did I cause her to make such a face? Why would she not smile? Why was my gaze pulled towards her presumably upset expression? The way she was wearing a white poncho in the place of an umbrella, or the way her bag was dangling from underneath her in a manner where it would not be in the way. Why did such little details remain burned in my vision? Every time I met her, I was consumed by these sorts of questions. Do you not need to use an umbrella? Your appearance is rather childish. The topic I chose to change the subject only seemed to further upset her. Sorry I'm so childish. I use 2 hands to hold his leash, so I need both of them to be free. I see. A fair amount of forethought isn't needed. I doubt I could own a dog. If you think so, then you probably shouldn't own one. I would feel bad for the dog, too. I didn't understand why our conversations became so caustic. I was somehow pushing on the buttons wrong. I understand this much, but I had no idea how to fix things. What would make her smile? As I pondered this and looked down at her, she glared back for some reason. She might have thought that I was glaring at her. I was finding myself at a loss when I heard a voice cry, "Ah!" from behind us. Turning around, I saw a young girl with a tearful expression, looking down at the river flowing next to the walkway. It was simple to tell what had happened by following her line of vision. A red umbrella was sailing away on the river. Did your umbrella get blown away? She also became I think it was her saying actually, or me. Did your umbrella get blown away? She also had become aware of the girl's state. When called to, the child looked over, scrunching her eyebrows. What do I do? My umbrella, it was washed away. It did, huh? Just a moment. I looked on, puzzled, as she pulled back her sleeves. She was possibly trying to take off her poncho. What was she thinking? She must be joking. It was much better that I got wet than let her return home drenched. Thankfully, the rain was light. Use this. Before she was able to say anything, I thrust my umbrella towards the young girl.
But mister, won't you get wet?
I'm not so weak that this amount of rain would affect me. My house is close by as well. I heard that children catch cold easily if they are soaked for too long. If that is the case, it is better that you use this umbrella. However, you'll have to be more careful this time so that it won't get blown away. I controlled her attempt to get a word in with a stare. I can't imagine that you're as sturdy as I am. Your house was, if I recall, farther away from here. Therefore, it is much more efficient for me to give her my umbrella here.
What?
But you don't need to be so insistent about it. Besides that, now that I've given my umbrella, I'd like to return home. But...
Oh, that's not what I...
Enough. You go along now. The young child, who had been looking conflicted, seemed pressured by my words and grabbed the umbrella. She was probably considering whether or not it was all right to accept something from an unknown man, as much as a child could consider such a thing.
Thank you.
After having opened the umbrella, a men's size wholly unfitting to her, the child gave an unsteady bow and ran off. It seemed difficult for her to run with such a large umbrella. It may have been that the wind's resistance was too strong. Perhaps allowing her to give the child her poncho and then having her borrow my umbrella would have been much more efficient after all. While I regretted the error of my decision, the girl beside me pulled up her poncho even though there was no longer any need. What are you doing?
Please listen to me. I have an umbrella.
She spoke as if angered, and from underneath her poncho she produced a folding umbrella.
Please use this.
It was too late for me to realize that this was what she was trying to convey earlier.
You'll catch a cold. Please hurry and open it.
I accepted the bluish-gray folding umbrella, decorated with a droplet pattern, and opened it. I had erred after all. I should have listened to her properly, and allowed her to give this to the child. Why did I always miscalculate my decisions when she was involved? I'm sure we'll meet again tomorrow, so you can just... Oh, this is actually me saying this.
I'm sure we'll meet again tomorrow, so you can just return it then. And I don't need any thanks. I was planning to give it to her anyway. Just return it tomorrow. Also, you're getting soaked, Kent, so you should take a proper shower when you get home. If you just listened to me, I would have been able to pull it out earlier.
As she spoke rapidly, she glanced over with a sullen look and added in a small voice.
Still, I never expected you to do such a thing, Kent. You're nice.
Am I nice? Hadn't I made a very large mistake in judgment? Shouldn't I have listened to you? While I sincerely pondered over these thoughts, she turned around swiftly.
Anyway, both of us should head home for today.
Yes, you're right. This amount of rain was of little consequence to me, but I was not eccentric enough to walk about town with a woman's umbrella. Watching her bobbing white form walk off, I sincerely felt that I had erred in my decision. I had barely talked to her today. Why had I even come here? I don't know. I didn't want to answer that yet. Either way, that was the reason I was in possession of her umbrella. I was told to return it tomorrow, so it was fine to wait, and whether for better or for worse, the rain had stopped, with the forecast for tomorrow being sunny. Until the time that I would meet her tomorrow, she would not find herself in need of this umbrella. And yet, the reason my eyes trailed to my cell phone was because if I said I would return it, I would be able to meet her again today. Since I was unable to see her for very long in the morning, I would be able to speak with her a little more if I did.
even if it would simply end in another quarrel. Why did I hesitate, even already knowing the outcome? Why was my urge to meet her so great that I concocted reasons for it? Each time I asked myself this, I would suppress the barely visible answer deep into my heart. Am I possibly in love with her? Impossible. As I was on the verge of veering into a train of thought I shouldn't follow, there was a light knock on the laboratory door, followed by its opening. Ken, hide me! The man who spoke sharply as he came in was my friendly rival, Ikkyu. Closing the door behind him, he quickly began looking around behind desks and glancing around the laboratory in an attempt to hide. There was only one reason I could give for his desperation. It was a woman. Are you being chased? Yes, by quite a few. In fact, you'd be surprised at the amount. Ikkyu had barely managed to find a gap to squeeze into, when suddenly the door swung open without a knock. Is Ikki here? How noisy. The uninvited guests were 3 female college students. As they had rudely barged into the laboratory wearing ridiculously flashy clothes, I responded to them curtly. He's not here. Leave. Perhaps surprised by my forwardness, the 3 stopped in their tracks. Are you sure? What a ridiculous question. I'm busy. Leave. The effect was immediate. Looking defeated, the trio shuffled their way back out. Ikkyu suffers some hardships as well, having to deal with fans without even a shred of common courtesy. After some time had passed since the door closed, Ikkyu appeared again, coupled with a sigh. Thanks. That was a big help. Why were you being chased? Well, I was asked to help with an assignment they didn't understand, but when I refused, they started to chase me. It was actually pretty shocking. I had thought of you fond of going along with a woman's advances, but I see there are times you turn them down as well. I have my preferences. It was unexpected for him to look so proud as he said this. I thought he didn't have preferences when it came to women, and the members of the previous trio were, by normal standards, rather beautiful. Ikkyu, let me ask you, is it generally annoying for one to use such small reasons as excuses to spend time with someone? Of course, the umbrella was on my mind when I asked this, though it applied to his situation as well. Ikkyu lightly tilted his head. I don't know about in general, but if it was a girl that I liked, I would be happy to see her. Is that how it is? That's how it is. I wondered if she thought of me as a desirable partner. I had a feeling this was improbable. How does one deduce that another woman sees one as desirable? For instance, if a woman who is interested in you were to decide whether or not to converse with you, on what factors would she base her decision? Huh? Deciding on whether to approach someone? Let's see. For me, the kind of girl I like to talk to is someone with whom I can have a pleasant conversation. That was too broad a category. I then felt some disgust at the fact that I did not fit even in so broad of a category. Is it a nuisance to be approached by someone you regularly devolve into arguments with? Of course it's a nuisance. Use your common sense. What exactly are you trying to ask? Nothing really, I dodged, and carefully pushed the umbrella into a less visible position. Then let me rephrase the question. Is the desire to create small excuses in order to meet someone indicative of romantic feelings? I don't know. I think the girls just now were more curious than anything else. Well, I suppose it may be the start of falling in love. While tilting his neck, Ikkyu further bent his waist as if trying to peer at my face. I seriously doubt this, but are you in love with someone? Impossible. With this one-word denial, without the slightest hint of suspicion, he murmured, of course not. Were romance and I seen as that disparate from one another? I figured as much. Even I could see it. I considered that she was 7 years my junior, that we weren't on very good terms, and the whole idea came to look ridiculous. Of course it wasn't possible. She would probably think it a nuisance. I put down the cell phone I was about to dial and pushed it toward the umbrella. I didn't have to think about it. If I was told that this was love, I would have no idea what to do. That was why I couldn't call her. I would no longer give thought to the umbrella. No matter how much anxiety I felt waiting for the next day, it simply must be a trick of the mind. That was what it had to be. But Ken, just so you know, I'm pretty sure love isn't all logic. I pretended not to hear Ikkyo's generously given advice and shoved the umbrella deep into the gap between my books, so that I would no longer give any more thought to her. I hadn't yet realized that this was the problem in and of itself. That was Kent's story. Kent is the logical one. But then he had trouble understanding those feelings of why he was doing what he was doing. All right. Oh wow, it's already that time. Goodness me. I didn't expect these short stories to be as long as they were. Wow, time flew by. Oh my goodness. I'm glad those short stories were there, because I thought we would have nothing to show on stream after finishing the good ending for Ukyo. Is that all for extras? I guess so. Alright. Well, alright then. It always does when you're psychoanalyzing teacher. Yeah. It does. Yeah, I guess it's time to wrap up. This is actually this is officially the last Amnesia Memory stream. Thank you all so much for being on this journey with me through all these stories and timelines. It's been quite the ride. I will finish like all the extra stuff on my own off stream. But thank you so much for experiencing this with me. This is a game that I've been wanting to play for a while, and just like most games that we're streaming here, I was able to get it done. So thank you. As for what's going to take place after this, I've decided to put Visual Novel Wednesday on hiatus after this, and but I do know what will replace our Wednesday streams from now on after this, and you guys will find out on the weekend what that will be. So yes, that was Amnesia Memories. Yay! Alright, so tomorrow, Thursday, we'll be continuing Final Fantasy IV. Usual time, 9 p.m. Pacific. What did we leave out last time? Hold on, let me check. What did we do last time? Oh, right. We were in the sealed cave. So we'll continue going through the cave next time, tomorrow. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think that's it. Thank y'all so much for joining me today. I mentioned it in Discord, but for those who didn't see it, there is a big debut happening on Friday, and because of that, I've decided to cancel Friday's stream. So there'll be no stream on Friday. I will reschedule the Genshin stream for next Friday. Hello, I'm sorry that you came now. We're wrapping up.
So yes, thank you again so much for joining me today and for this journey through Amnesia memories. It's very, very interesting. I really enjoyed it. No raid. I assume everyone's going to bed after this, so we'll wrap up for tonight. Please leave a like if you enjoyed this stream. Please leave a comment if you would like to share your thoughts. Please subscribe and or follow if you haven't already. If you're going to bed, I hope you rest well and have sweet dreams. If your day's just getting started, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. And I hope to see you all tomorrow for Final Fantasy IV. Ta-ta! Otsumika!